Welcome to another AMA with Kadena Ecosystem. In this episode, we will be speaking with the team from Arkade, as well as Koby from Koala Wallet. This conversation was recorded on December 28th, 2022, live on Twitter Spaces. The views and expressions in this AMA do not represent the views of Kadena Ecosystem directly and are not to be considered as financial advice. Please make sure to do your own research on the projects presented. Also make sure to follow our account to be alerted of new uploads. Now let's get started. Enjoy. Welcome everybody to another AMA with Kadena Ecosystem. Today we have the guys from Arkade. Everyone knows them, everyone loves them. It's been a little bit while since we've sat and talked, so a little bit to catch up on. I know you guys have your awesome 90s bulls coming out, so we'll talk all about that, and you've done some really cool updates to the website. So why don't we start off with a quick introduction of the team, what you guys do on the team, and then just what a quick recap of what Arkade is all about.
What's up, guys? This is Koby, the soundboard guy, as you may have heard. So I run communications on the team as well as marketing, and me, Norizi, and Patrick on the call here are the three founders. I'll let them introduce themselves, and then we can get into what Arkade is about as a whole.
Cool, Koby. Thanks for the nice little alley-oop there. I'm Patrick. I'm also one of the co-founders of the team. I deal kind of more in the background with partnerships, scaling, and just a general business thing. Pretty much anything that goes to our launchpad and anywhere else on the website, I kind of have a hand on. So I kind of deal with more of the back-end stuff of direction, scaling, and potential opportunity through like partners. And that's kind of my role with what I fulfill. And Norizi can introduce himself a bit more. And I do much more than that, but just on the spot, that's probably all I can come up with right now.
What's up, guys? Norizi here, otherwise known as Norris, and I run all of the dev design product for Arkade. So I'm helping out with the games, the marketplace, the launchpad, everything on the tech side of things, all the creative stuff that you see. And I work directly with our artists and as well as our game devs. Patrick is kind of leading the front on the game development with our game devs and Superbull, and I'm kind of helping out with more of the classic game side of things, and currently focusing on building the Star Station, which we'll talk about here shortly as well. So lots of cool stuff that we're excited about, and it's kind of crazy. We're approaching our 1-year anniversary here soon of when we launched our Twitter. We first started as the Kadena Bulls, and now we are, of course, Arkade. We had started out as the Kadena Bulls with our nostalgic 90s collection, which is finally minting here soon on January 1st. And we had started out with allowing people to earn whitelist spots through our arcade games. And then we grew that vision into what is now Arkade, and we are finally being able to launch these exciting nostalgic NFTs that everyone's been looking forward to for almost a year now, which is kind of crazy. So lots happening, but I'll hand it back to Koby or to Chris.
I think
I'm going to say if you have anything else to add, Koby, go right ahead. Yeah, I was going to say
you summarized it really well.
Yeah, that's a really good summary. So let's get right into what people are probably most excited for, and that is the 90s Bulls collection. Now, just going through the obvious changes from the 80s to the 90s is that you are now stepping out of the 8-bit world and into the actual kind of art world. How much of a changeover was that? Was that a big hurdle for you guys to get over, or was that something your artists were already well on top of even back when the 80s were being built?
Well, we initially started as the 90s Bulls. So this was initially going to be our Genesis collection when we first came onto the scene in January of last year. And we spent a couple of months teasing so many different traits and attributes from the 90s. You could go check them out in our Discord. We still have the Sneak Peeks channel up. And we pivoted towards like the progression from the 80s to the 2000s because we were getting so many requests from the community for attributes from the 80s and for like 80s traits, and there were a lot of like community members that were that grew up in the 80s. So we went with the 80s, and then now we're coming back to the 90s with the 1 year anniversary, as Norizi was saying. And it's kind of funny because it's like two layers of nostalgia, right? The first layer is like the nostalgic aspect of going back to like our roots as the Kadena Bulls and who we first were when we started the project. And like a lot of the OG community members knew us as the Kadena Bulls with these 90s 2D Bulls. And then there's a second layer of nostalgia of just like all the attributes and traits from the 90s that, we're calling back to. So it was a very, very seamless progression. We already had the 90s collection in our arsenal when we released the 80s, and people had already seen the 90s collection. And then we may have, potentially a 2000s 3D bowl to tease in the near future, just so people can, see a look into the future there as well.
Ooh, so let me jump in here. Hey guys, my name is Koby. I'm one of the founders at Eucalyptus Labs, and we're on a mission to increase Kadena's accessibility and bring the next million people to Kadena. It's a lofty goal, but with partners like Arkade, we're going to get there. I guess my mind is swirling with questions not only about that teaser, since I'm a 2000s kid, you could say, but you launched the 80s and now you're launching the 90s. Is this going more smoothly after things you learned during that first launch? Were there any big takeaway lessons that you've put to work with this new iteration coming out?
Absolutely. Noriza can speak on it a bit more from the dev side, but just to give you an inside look on the 80s release, we were all in the central Austin meeting with like some of the Kadena team and some other members of the Kadena community when we were releasing the 80s mint. It was like 105-degree weather. We were squashing bugs last second. We were scrambling, all like cramped into this small Airbnb, trying because we were at that time, I think, the second or third Kadena NFT to mint. So it was all
Hold
just
on,
yeah.
let me interrupt there because it wasn't just an Airbnb. Like we wanted to extend the Airbnb, but we had extended like 4 times already, and they're like, "You guys got to get out." So it was between an Airbnb and like hot spots and coffee shops for like that,
Yeah.
like to be a bit more telling on that front on that side.
Yeah, so it was an unknown to us because at that time we'd had never minted a collection. It was fairly early in the NFT space with Kadena. Not many projects had minted at the time. So we didn't know what to expect. But now we feel like we're seasoned veterans. Obviously, we're still learning, and there's still so much to learn on that front. But we've launched multiple collections, and each collection has taught us something new. So with the '90s release, we're releasing the offering feature, and we're releasing instant reveal, which the other collections didn't have. And it just we hope and we think it'll be a much smoother process than the '80s mint, which actually went fairly smoothly for all of the circumstances that were involved. But yeah, Norizi can talk more about the dev side, but just to like give you an idea of what we learned from that.
Well, Apple's got started in a garage, so being in an Airbnb, it sounds like you're way ahead of the game.
That's true. It's funny too. We were at the cafe during the mint, doing our AMA and stuff, and it was like Cody had said, it was like 105-degree weather, and we were forced to be outside of the cafe too. This after we got out of our Airbnb, and it was so hot that Cody's phone overheated in the middle of the AMA, and we had to drop the call.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, so that was pretty crazy, but it's really awesome to see how far just the space in general has come. Shout out Gainas and Kitty Cat. I love talking about them because Squeegee from Gainas, had created the first NFTs on Kadena, and he didn't do a traditional mint. He had set up a whole marketplace. It was like phenomenal tech. If you look at these smart contracts and everything he had developed, he was selling these NFTs where I mean, it's still live. You can go in, you can buy an egg, and you can hatch the egg into a gallina, which is a chicken, and then you can sell your chickens on the marketplace. And no one really knew about it. He wasn't really marketing it that heavy. So then Kitty Cat came on the scene and restructured that code to do more of the traditional mint that a lot of people are used to, and developed, started paving the way for this standard that now every Kadena NFT on Arkade is using, which we're calling, the like Butter NFT standard, which is kind of an alternative and an extension of the Marmalade standard that everyone's heard of, since Marmalade isn't quite fully ready yet. So it's been really cool to see how it went from, this marketplace no one knew about, and then Kitty Cat taking it, and then us. It's us and Kitty Cat and Gainas all in this chat where we're like, hey guys, let's like help people launch these NFTs. Let's create a standard around this, make it very easy to read these contracts and these functions, and make it duplicatable for anyone else to come in. So we're still continuing to expand on that. I mean, if you look at the earlier contracts, so like what we're doing even now with the 90s, which you'll be able to see soon on just, it's actually already on testnet. If you're familiar with Chainweaver, you can check it out, where now we've been able to add in bidding, right? And it's cool to see, like, I believe Kadena Mining Club is on here, like what they've been able to do, what Wizards Arena has been able to do, and we're all kind of taking what Gainas and Kitty Cat had started with, and look at what we've all been able to come together and create today. It's really, really awesome. So that's it as far as on the tech side of things, what I'm excited about. And like, I mean, if you look at Wizards Arena, what they've done too with like, I believe they have a burning mechanism, right? You can stake your NFTs. They're doing the play to earn model. Like, they've really taken it next level. So, and I mean, we're only not even a year into the first NFT launching on Kadena. So, and we're in a bear market too, where we're not even getting a lot of users in general in the NFT space in general across the board. So I can't imagine like a couple years from now where NFTs on Kadena are going to be. It's very exciting. So I think the 90s Bulls is
the
taking
next
it
step is Koala Wallet and NFT integration. That's
Absolutely. And so if you could speak to that for a minute before we dive into the Koala Wallet integration, has your community stuck with, I mean, I know your community has stuck with you, but why do you think they have? I mean, have you guys done something different than other projects? But specifically in Kadena, I see that projects that existed a year ago during the best markets still are retaining their users, still are outputting really good drops. Is that something about Kadena? What's going right?
Yeah. Yeah, if I could say one thing, I think is something that maybe people overlook is like, yeah, you can develop a really cool product. You can pave new paths on the road of development. You can do all these like cool things that you're offering. But I think what is allowing projects to retain their community and hold on long term is being in the trenches with your community, is listening to them, is talking to them, is befriending everyone. It's like being actually a part of your community instead of a lot of projects. I feel like they'll either get up on their high horse, or they won't really engage anymore after they launch a certain project, or whatever it is. They kind of take their foot off the gas. But for us, I feel like it's just fun for us to just talk with everyone, make friends. Like, we've had 2 people within the community launch their own projects, like Kadena Skellies, Pack Rats with C-Rob, and then XI with the Skellies. So, like, I think just being in the community as if you're another community member really keeps their attention, keeps people engaged. And then all the other stuff on the surface, such as, offering these games and, the Star Station and ways to earn and all that stuff is cool. But like I said, I think it comes more from the heart and genuine connection that you're building.
Definitely. And I'll add on to that as well and just say that it really just comes down to it comes down to how you engage your community. There's people within our community that don't launch projects that I consider close friends of mine, that when I'm done working for the day with Arkade, I'll message them like, yo, you guys want to hop on Warzone? You guys want to play Call of Duty? Like, just little things like that, I think really make people realize that, hey, like, yeah, even though like I support their company, I like them as people and not just founders as well. Like, these are guys that I want to be friends with and that aren't necessarily trying to just give us fluff all the time. And I think the community, especially in Kadena, can see through the fluff. a big thing that a lot of ecosystems, and at times it feels like does happen, is there's this weird separation aspect, which in my opinion shouldn't ever exist in any ecosystem, but that's just me. But when it comes down to it, is all the people are the same, right? Like if there's someone in your community that is going hard for you, when you click mutual servers and mutual friends, there's going to be at least 15 mutual servers and like 30 mutual friends through Discord. I'm speaking, not Telegram, but like Norizi was saying, it's just about how you engage your people, what you offer them, and just kind of like, you talk to them as you're not trying to do like a typical like client relationship. Like it's more of a friend relationship in terms of like, hey, what do you like about this? What can we do differently with marketing? How does the community feel about this? And we take very unique approach in just trying to make sure our community is happy with what you're doing, and it also understands what we're doing. So I think that's kind of what separates not us, but good projects from the bad projects. And not all projects that don't engage are bad. They just haven't necessarily figured out the formula, because when you launch a project or you start building something, there's so many moving parts that you didn't expect to happen. And even though you think that it's like, oh, I'm ready for this, I'm prepared for this, when you're in the middle of it, you're like, what is going on? Like the clear thoughts you had in the beginning from your vision board no longer make sense because it's grown so rapidly. Um, so it's just a matter of being able to handle that pressure when it comes and figuring out. And a lot of teams, I think, are in that figure it out stage. And the good ones that we know of right now are the ones that are engaging constantly, like Norizi was saying, but also being the ones who, they've been around for a long time and through thick and thin. They're not worried about marketing conditions. They're still providing utility and value, and they're just building. And I think from my point of view, that's kind of what separates the projects right now.
Definitely, community is by far the thing that does keep a project afloat, because if you don't have a community, you don't have people that keep interested, and eventually just like you're just kind of forgotten and pushed to the side. And you guys have done a phenomenal job through all of the different methods that you use, be it how your Telegram is super active, your Discord is always very active, and then you also provide, like you said, you have the games and things like that online. Let's talk about the games, because they recently got a big overhaul. I used to play the Tetris and Snake and Pac-Man and that stuff all the time, just for fun. I never got good enough to like really earn stars off of playing it, because I just kind of played it every once in a while to kill 5 minutes here or something. And then you guys completely pulled them down and revamped them. Let's talk about that and what made you guys go that route, because I will say the revamped versions are so much better and so much more polished and just amazing. So let's talk about what brought that on.
I wanted Norizu to take it because he's the one that implemented the new
No,
polished versions
here's
of
why I
it.
want you to take it, because I'm working on a Koala Bull sneak peek right now. So give me a few minutes. So go
All
ahead.
right, all right, all right. Yeah, so thank you for the compliment, Chris. Yeah, we really wanted to polish the games because when we first released them back in, I think, February, we wanted people to earn whitelist spots and earn stars, but we knew like there were a lot of bugs and there were a lot of exploits in the games that people were taking advantage of because everyone's just a savvy gamer. So whenever you release a game, they'll find a way to break it and reach new high scores that you thought were impossible. So yeah, we went back to the drawing board and we release the polished games as free to play games because, like you said, sometimes you just want to kill some time, whether it's 5, 10 minutes or an hour, playing some classic games. And the model that we're implementing is a free to play model for these games. So for Tetris and Snake and the Pac-Mans and all the classic games that we grew up playing. They're going to be free to play on the site, and then we're going to have our in-house games that are going to be earnable, so you can earn arcade in those games. But the caveat is it's kind of like a real arcade where you have to insert a token, so you have to insert arcade to play, and then you can earn more arcade if you're good at the game. So we have the free to play aspect, and then we have the pay to play and earn aspect with the in house games that we're developing. So like Superbull, and then a few others as well that we'll sneak peek in the next month or so. So yeah, we just really want people to hop into the arcade and like have fun, whether it's kill 5, 10 minutes or earn 100, 200 arcade in their free time. And that's kind of the goal and the vision that we're going for.
Definitely. And also, just to add on to that, Olaf, we also want to, and I had some connection issues for like a couple minutes, so apologies if I missed something. But I think I heard most of it. In adding on to that aspect of the actual arcade kind of model, we want people to be able to enjoy games outside of the arcade as well down the line. So we tease a lot of stuff with people in our Discord, like Dadbod and Wizards and Kazora. So we want you to be able to play games outside of the arcade, but still have that kind of community feel within the Kadena ecosystem to that. So we really want you to just be able to come in, and if you like to play sport games, you can play a sport game. If you like to play FPS games, you can play that. But also, if you just want to sit back and play Tetris and enjoy the website, you can do that too. And that's the angle that Narizi, shout out to him, he has definitely led the vision on that. But Kadi and I both have some backgrounds with like computers and programming, things like that. So we both love to just go in and break things and play in our spare time as well.
That was an accident.
That was insane. I looked around like, is there a cow?
I live in the country. I was like looking out my window because we got cows right across the road from where I live. I was like, that's a little bit louder than usual.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I've been loving the games, and
Thought you guys got excited. Thought you missed a meal or something.
And mentioning Superbull, watching in your Discord and stuff, I've seen there's been a lot of feedback from the people who have been testing it. How close is that game getting to where people will be able to actually play it as well?
Extremely close. We've got amazing feedback, and Patrick has kind of taken driver's seat on implementing those changes and just keeping the community in the loop in that regard. And that's the vision that we had when we released the beta version, is getting feedback from the community, because we know we've been here a year. We know how smart they are and how they can, provide different angles and different ideas that will improve Superbull when we do eventually release it to the public, and people will be able to earn through the Star Station. So it's been amazing. Patrick can speak on it a bit more than I can because, like I said, he's the one that's leading that front. But if you guys want to go check out our Discord and go to the Dev Updates channel, you can kind of see the progression of updates of Superbull, and all of those updates and all of that feedback is community sourced. It's crowdsourced.
Definitely. And another thing too that we want to include is we're going to begin to add in like new characters and new monsters and stuff like that. So what I'm doing now is kind of getting the public domain placeholders out of there, and slowly going to begin to integrate what the community wants to see in the game. So we're going to give a choice of like 4 or 5 different monsters that they would want to see, and whatever one gets that vote gets priority on being embedded into the game. And like Kadi said, like the community is driving most of this. Like one big thing that I think people overlook in tech is nothing is ever perfect out of the box. Like I don't care if you're Activision Blizzard with $1 billion studio budget, or you're an independent game developer doing things on Steam or wherever you want to upload games to. I know Apple's been booming in the last 3 years as well. But it's never going to be perfect out the box, and you have to listen to your community to get the mechanics down of what they like and what they don't like, because as a game developer and as someone who understands what the initial vision is, the community who's playing that game might have an entirely different view of it. So not only is context important from your community, it's also extremely important in building out the direction of your game. Is there going to be an expansion? Is there going to be, things that we can upgrade in the game? Is there going to be a speedrunning aspect? Do people want a PvP with this? These are just all the things that you need to kind of take in as not only a founder, but also as like a developer when you're building it, just trying to build out a good product. And that's kind of where we are now. But the side of that is we want to be able for our community to be able to decide, hey, what comes next? So it's kind of like it's not really a DAO aspect, but it's just more so like we want our community to feel like this is their game too, and we want them to come to our website and spend time and enjoy playing the game versus just being like, okay, cool, this is they did something post IDO or they fulfilled their promise, like it's not playable, now what? So that's the direction that we're taking with it, and I just can't stress enough to just make mistakes in the process, learn a lot throughout what you're building, but at the end of the day, the community is extremely important, and that's who we're building this for.
I think that's such a great approach, and one we've definitely taken in shaping Koala Wallet and especially as we source new features and new integrations for the app, from our end, we've been making a lot of design choices and feature integration choices off of, like you said, that user feedback after both a frustration with institutions who really don't listen to users and try to take the Apple approach of forcing what they think we want. And then also just because, like you said, the community is the most vigilant, they are the most financially invested at times, and a lot of the times they know best. So how did you guys know to take this approach? It's obviously worked so far. How did you know to take this approach? Was it based off of previous successes or failures?
No, that's a great question. Well, for me, I have a background in startups and Web 2, so that is something that I learned throughout the way. But like in all honesty, Norris and Aloft had that from day one. That's the approach that they wanted to take because you can't build a community if there's no community to serve to, So they knew that from day one. And when I came on to Arkade, that was kind of the method that they had already done. I just helped kind of run that method a bit more, if that makes sense. So that was just one of the things that I think it's just good general business practice that we were lucky enough to have in the beginning. And like I said, like there's been hiccups along the way and so forth, but that's ultimately kind of what it is from my end. Like not to toot anyone's horn or anything like that. I'm very happy with the leadership on our team, and that's ultimately what enabled us to kind of branch out from the initial Kadena Bulls beginning to kind of the Arkade of what we are now.
Yeah, I feel like to add on to that, I've been very fortunate enough to work closely with entrepreneurs that really care about their users. My first entrance into working within Web3 was for a company called Reserve. Their token is RSR. So they contracted me to just like help out with some front end stuff, and that's when I started like learning blockchain. This was almost 3 years ago or so, and I worked directly with the CEO, and his attention to detail and how much thought he put into the end user was just very inspiring. So I think I carried
He
that with
is
me. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh yeah, is Reserve a French company, or am I getting them confused?
I think you're getting them confused. So they have a stable coin that they help third world countries that to help fight inflation with. So if you look up reserve rights, RSR, I think they might even still be in the top 100. I don't know, but
Yeah, did they start in Venezuela
yeah, I
or
think
somewhere
so.
South America?
Venezuela, South American
Okay.
countries. Yeah, um, yeah. So if you look up reserve rights, I think is their Twitter handle. But yeah, I just did simple front end stuff for them, and worked closely with Nevin, and like, yeah, it was just very inspiring to see what he was, able to create there. And then carried on from that. That's when I started like learning smart contract development, and I got into the Solana space when it was very exciting with Metaplex, and got to talk with the Metaplex team and see the standard that they were creating. So I kind of got some perspective from there. And then I helped out on the Hero project. They did a dual mint on Terra and Solana at the time. So I got that firsthand experience, and that community grew extremely fast. They opened up the Discord, and I think it was 10,000 members within like 48 hours. It was insane. So like just that like blew my mind. I wasn't helping out on the community side, so I was very ignorant to like how to even manage something like that. But being able to see from the team and ask questions and learn from them was very useful too. So kind of just gathering all of that experience, and then seeing the tech with Kadena and how much I loved what Kadena was doing. I thought, hey, I want to be able to offer the value that I've accumulated over the years, or the experience I've accumulated over the years, and offer some value in whatever way I can to a technology that I really believe in. So I think a lot of it is like right time, right place with the right knowledge to apply to. And that's why it's exciting too. It's like you can't force building a project on an ecosystem. Like it needs to come from the heart. It needs to, like, for us it was very much a smooth process. Yes, there was hiccups and roadblocks with like the dev and getting things to work, but as far as like knowing the next step to take, it's kind of just been like revealed for us as we go, because we're moving very intuitively throughout the process. Like it was very fun for us to create the traits for the 90s Bulls. It was fun for us to launch these games. Like, it's just been fun the entire time. I mean, we got the TLD for our domain as .fun, like, for a reason. So, like, I think that's a huge aspect, is like, obviously not all businesses are going to be fun all the time, but we decided to put that, like, make that a priority, is to have fun with it. So it's easier to make decisions when you're having fun and you're, like I said, in the trenches with the community and are listening to what they want, because usually what they want, and if you're on the same page and consuming what they're consuming, it's like it's what you want too. So it's very natural, at least for us.
That story sounds very similar to our team as well, eh, Koby? The whole bringing together people with just experience and just, going full bore into something for the passion of it and just having fun.
And funny enough, I could actually pull up, I think, the records of maybe 2019, when I think I talked with Nevin, or some of the senior leadership there, who were interested again in utilizing a Path wallet technology we had for their token. And we weren't able to accommodate that at the time, because we definitely weren't thinking community forward, or weren't able to. So those kinds of projects and use cases that excited you are really at the core of Eucalyptus Labs, and why we made Koala Wallet, so that no one can tell us what the shareholder interest is in adding this or that token. It's all about what we think is going to benefit Kadena, blockchain, and users at whole, making more value for them. So that's really cool to hear the parallels.
Big time. And yeah, like, I remember the first day that it was available, I think I instantly messaged Chris and Michelle, and I was like, this is insane. I love Koala Wallet. It's so easy. There's never been an easier way to buy Kadena. So I could tell that you guys had put together like a very concrete plan of how simple you wanted to be, yet complex, and all of that shows. So we're huge fans of Koala Wallet, and from day one, when we got the sneak peeks and got to play around with the app, we were like, yeah, this is sick. This is huge for the space.
Yeah, we just shared, Cody just shared a sneak peek of our Koala Bull. So I don't know if you guys want to pin it to the spaces. I think it would be cool for everyone to see.
Oh, do it up.
With the 90s snapback on.
It's crazy. I got one in my closet right now.
All right, I'm checking this out, and then it's time to discuss NFTs and Koala.
Let's do it.
That's super cool. I love the little koala on the shoulder there. Very cool. Trying to figure out how to pin it into the thing here.
And which account did y'all share it from?
From our Arkade. So if you check the comments under the space, it should be there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
awesome.
Kenny the Koala, by the way.
Awesome. Wait, who is that?
His name's Kenny the Koala.
Kenny the Koala.
So we got
I
Billy
love
the
it.
Bull, we got Kyle the Croc, and now we got Kenny the Koala.
Don't forget Peter K.
Oh
Pack,
yeah,
man.
Peter K. Pact, of course.
Come on.
Love it. Well, folks, from our end, when we decided, of course, to start work on NFTs, the first thing we really asked ourselves is, what do we do, and what do we like to do with our collections on other platforms, and how do we want that to look and feel inside of Koala? So I'll save you we want it to be quick, we want it to be simple and minimalist. But it really came down to the functionalities around buy, send, receive, and store that we were really excited about developing. So one of them that I can sample is a really great way to showcase your NFTs to both your friends digitally across the online, and also in person. So integrated into Koala, what we've worked on is having a really beautiful way to say, hey guys, check out my NFT, and literally rotate your phone, and there it is in a little bit better of a format than just a screenshot and share. And also with those social sharing features, so that when you do share your JPEG, it really does go further than just saying, this is something I have, but more details about why it's important to you and why you want to share it. So I'm interested to hear maybe your favorite parts, or what you think is the most important part of NFTs in wallets, because for us, it's much more than just storing and keeping them for a rainy day to sell.
Yeah, I mean, I think the most important aspect is it's honestly a pillar of play to earn. Because if you don't have that wallet connection, if you don't have a pathway for your game to speak to the blockchain, and the wallet is kind of the conduit there, then you can't really implement that earning mechanism in a seamless manner. so that, the user experience is very, very easy, and they don't have to worry about whether their wallet is connected or not, or, whether they're following the right sequential steps to earn. And we think that's like one of the biggest hurdles that a lot of Web3 games face, is just kind of making it a very, very seamless end user experience. Because when you think of gaming in general, you don't really have to put thought into turning on your console or turning on your PC and launching a game, right? It's just done. You don't have to worry about like, is your solid state drive working correctly, or do you have like the correct plugins installed to play the game? And that's the future of Web3 gaming. If we really want to scale it and we really want to bring in more users and more people to the space, is we have to mirror that Web2 experience of gaming that, we've grown up to know and love for decades now, right? And obviously we're going to evolve, and it's just, the world of gaming is so early in the Web3 space. Like, there aren't even big players in the pond yet, and everyone's still learning. And we think like the wallet integration is honestly the backbone of it, because that's, like I mentioned, how these games are going to interact with the blockchain, right? And how these NFTs are going to interact with the blockchain.
And Koby, this might be a little bit before your time. I think we were about 5 or 6 years before you. But growing up, we had Nintendo 64s, and that's kind of what we modeled it off after as well, like how simple we want it to be. You don't have to download a DLC. There doesn't have to be updates to your PS5 and the game itself before you can play it. So you can't play for like 3 hours. We wanted to be able to like pick it up, blow off a cartridge, and just put it into the machine and play the game 2 minutes later.
Gotta blow.
Yeah,
Gotta
you
blow.
gotta blow. gotta get it in there. But yeah, man, like that, like echoing what Cody said, that's like a big that's huge for us. Is just a seamless integration between the worlds, and it needs to be simple as possible for people in the space as well as newcomers. And you guys have tackled that perfectly.
We appreciate that. Something we made sure of is starting with mobile. I think that for gaming, certainly my background of Minecraft and a little bit of League, those are usually desktop intensive games. I think Minecraft for mobile didn't come out until maybe like 4, 5, 6 years after the alpha of Minecraft by Notch. What's your opinion on multiple device support such as mobile and desktop? Is that something you're pursuing and find important at this stage?
Big time. And I'll let Narizi speak to that a tad more. But right now, like on the classic games, we have an inspired by Flappy Bird version of that on our website that you're actually able to kind of play on mobile. So we definitely want to go into that. And my age shows a little bit too. I'm 28, and my age definitely shows for me when I'm looking at like certain things like Call of Duty Mobile, and like people are talking about how Nuketown is like a Call of Duty mobile map, and they don't know about the original like Black Ops from 2010. And I'm like, man, we need to step up our we really need to be we need to be a bit more universal with what we provide, because that's how you get mass adoption of users, is having both sides of that. So that's definitely something that we are stepping into, but we want to stick to what we know at the initial launch for now. But Norizi,
Yeah, mobile games are extremely lucrative, and major contribution to that is microtransactions. When you point to games like Candy Crush, Temple Run. I don't know if people remember that game back in the day. And just like the ease of access to the mobile games, right? You just open your phone and you click into an app and you play the game. You don't have to have a $600-700 gaming rig to play the games. It's just, so that's really, if you have that ease of access, then you already have a channel to millions and millions of potential users. And it doesn't even need to be a gamer, right? Mobile games kind of extend past the realm of gaming as well. And, your 67-year-old relative can open their phone and play these games and click around with just like their fingers, right? And it's just that ease of use kind of helps you scale to a point where it's universal in the sense of like you're reaching a community that goes beyond just, hardcore gamers.
Well, Chris, I think we have to advance our security at Eucalyptus because they found out Temple Run is still 100% installed on my phone, not the next versions. I'm talking OG, and I'll beat any of you with my high score. So set that aside. But
Oh
something
man, you got
oh
the
yeah, ready
OG
for chat.
Hold
version of
on.
Temple
Was
Run.
that the one where you could like quickly go left, 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 and then run forever straight and get like a trillion on the score?
Yeah, there was a
Well,
glitch.
don't tell
There
me
was a
that now. I mean,
glitch.
listen, I'll do a live stream.
Dude.
My question. Let's do it. Let's get on. My question stemming from there, though, was about ease of accessibility. Right now, something that we've done at Koala Wallet is import. I think we have, Chris can correct me, but I think we have about like 12 or 13 fluently translated languages, let alone, I think, like 100 currency pairs that you can, of course, use Koala in. And we're adding more with about every update. Although, again, it's, a lot of languages there already. That's something we saw as a really big barrier to understanding how to use a wallet, how to understand that this is something I have to be very safe with, like my recovery code and password. So that's one of the biggest accessibility challenges we saw. What is some accessibility challenge to crypto gaming or to gaming overall that you guys have identified and are working on or hope to work on in the future?
A major hurdle is one, just cost. So, in the world of gaming, not everyone can shell out either $1,000 to build a PC or hundreds and hundreds of dollars to buy a new console. And then the second major hurdle, like we said, is just the accessibility of, Web3 in general. I think a lot of people are deterred by adding plugins like wallets, making sure they have the correct tokens, gas fees. We haven't even mentioned some ecosystems have exorbitant gas fees. So to even interact with the game, you're spending, dollars upon dollars that add up just so that you can interact with an in-game marketplace. Like there's no the financial cost of that doesn't make sense, right? So we think a lot of these are once solved by Kadena because the gas stations and just the low gas costs in general, and then two by kind of bridging the gap of Web 2 and Web 3 through buffers. So like our buffer is the Star Station, and that's the Web 2 version of earning, and then the bridge would be the Star Station swapping to Arkade, so that people don't have to necessarily worry about if they're interacting with the blockchain directly when they're playing the game. They're just worried about reaching a new high score, and once they're done and they log out of the game, they have their stars and they can go and swap them, and that's when they connect to the blockchain, and that's when they begin to interact with it. So just making that process, that entire process, very seamless from beginning to end, and then making it as inexpensive as possible. So, inserting an Arkade token isn't going to make you pull out your wallet and buy hundreds and hundreds of dollars because you have to pay and think about gas fees. And then it's all web based, so you don't have to worry about like if you have an intensive rig or the newest graphics card to play these games.
I think also something I'd really like to see is being able to just sign transactions on mobile very seamlessly. I mean, we integrated Wallet Connect, right, with X Wallet, and even just like getting that all set up, you have to, scan the QR code or paste in the key and then link it and then go back and sign. It's just like not as convenient. So I would really like to have that just be accessible to anyone that wants to trade on our marketplace or mint or do any type of transaction on mobile. Is like you're on the site, you're clicking on anything, and then it just automatically like opens up the wallet to sign transactions. I think that's really what takes ecosystems to the next level, is like creating seamless experiences such as that example of just one click type of things. I mean, I know blockchain Doug is, I'm pretty sure it's done or usable, at least at this point. We haven't implemented it, but like the making things chain agnostic. I know Sterling from Dadbog was talking about working on that as well. I think that was a huge leap forward in making the user experience a lot easier too. Is like you don't have to go in and select a chain anymore, right? Where now it's just like it's not a thought to the end user that they have to be on the right chain or whatever it is. So I think continuing to take steps like that is super important for all dApps on Kadena right now.
For sure. There's lots of things that come into play when you look into integration with wallets and Web3 and Web2. But I like to see that you guys have thought ahead of making sure that those two systems kind of work in tandem. So like you said, people are earning their stars when they play the games. And then once they're done playing the games, they have the choice to either just keep the stars and keep playing or turn their stars into Arkade. And that's really cool to hear that, it's things like that. And like you said, seamless interactions that are going to really push and drive adoption. Now, when it comes to seamless interactions, a lot of wallets and things like that rely on things like dApp browsers, utilizing Wallet Connect on top of the dApp browser as well. How mobile and kind of like when it comes to building like the Arkade.Fun website, how mobile have you guys built it already? Is it, because I know some games are kind of iffy to play on the mobile, but how far ahead are you guys thinking that way?
Yeah, good question. Right now, the only game I believe Patrick had mentioned that is available on mobile is Flapper, inspired by Flappy Bird. I mean, it's basically Flappy Bird. We just, can't advertise it as Flappy Bird right now. And that's why another reason why we offered them as free to play. So, and you won't be able to really earn anything through those games. It's kind of just a treat for everyone that's on the arcade. Hey, you can go in and play. And we have future plans for those as well. But that is the only game that you can interact with on mobile. But you can interact with the entire marketplace and Launchpad on mobile at the moment too. As far as leaps forward on that, we will have Blue Bricks and King Cobra and Hooper, and those games will all be available on mobile upon initial release.
Awesome, because like you said, there is still a large percentage of people who play. I do most of my stuff on desktop when it comes to work or crypto or anything like that. But when it comes to playing games, unless I'm playing on my PS4, sometimes I play on my PC, but it's getting a little bit too old now to be playing the newer games. Besides that, I'm playing mobile games, and that seems to be the way forward that a lot of people are moving towards, because like you said, not everyone can afford the thousands of dollars for a PC, or it's even getting up to now where a console is just under $1,000. Is going to probably the next generation of consoles might cost $1,000 to buy one of these consoles. So it's getting to the point where it's getting less and less affordable, but everybody has a phone in their pocket, which is one thing that the whole world is shifting towards. So it's good to see that we're going to be trying to build these great integrations of Web3 with our Koala wallet and your guys' Arkade, and not to mention lots of other partners, hopefully in the future, that we'll be able to integrate and make just an absolute seamless, enjoyable experience for everyone to not just play really cool games, but to also, make sure that the things that they're earning from these play to earn games are safe and secure and at their fingertips at all times.
Big time. And I agree with you entirely on that. Because the price that we paid, especially during like the shortage of like 2021 and 2020 at the end of it, was insane for just a basic gaming rig due to like miners and things like that. It pushed a lot of people out, and it made it unaffordable for a lot of people and families. Like a really big part of gaming, I think, is it should be accessible by everyone. And as you mentioned, everyone has a phone. So I think what Apple Arcade has done is genius. Whether or not you want the $4.99 subscription or not, there's still a ton of games that you can play, and they highlight a ton of independent game developers, not huge studios on the platform. So that is definitely something we're very mindful of. And even like on Apple's most recent update, I believe, they talked about how they gave like what you can and can't do with like NFT integration and things like that. So I see things definitely becoming very fast paced in the next couple of years ahead with both NFTs and mobile gaming. Mobile gaming is already huge. It doesn't need any more shout outs. Like I don't know the metrics, but the numbers of players a day are probably in the close to the close to the billions at this point. Um, so it's definitely something that we're mindful of. But just to kind of reiterate, like we completely agree with you on that front, and we want these games to be accessible by everyone, whether you're 67-year-old parents or grandparents want to play, or your 8-year-old niece and nephew want to play. Like we want anyone to be able to pick these games up and play, and that's kind of what we're striving for at Arkade.
One thing that we've kind of spoken about a couple times now, but haven't really delved into, is the whole stars swap that you're building into the thing. Can we just give a quick little run through about what that is and how it's going to affect the ecosystem and how people are going to be able to use it?
Absolutely, and that's a great question. I will start it off, and I'll let Narizi and Kadi just kind of chime in what they have and so forth. But ultimately, stars, from our perspective, is our buffer between the Arkade economy token itself, and it's a buffer between the worlds. So you earn stars on our platform, and you're able to swap those into Arkade directly, which protects us from becoming a security, as we're a US based company. And then also on that front, it's a really cool way to make sure there's no manipulation happening, because at the end of the day, gamers are going to find a way to automate, they're going to find a way to break, and they're going to find a way to exploit. That's not wrong, that's not bad, that's just the nature of how gaming is. So, in growing up, I used to make video game hacks, and I used to go into the files of Diablo 2, World of Warcraft, RuneScape, Counter Strike. So I was one of those kids who, I didn't mean any ill will. It's just the nature of gaming, and you want to customize, you want to see what you can do, you want to push the boundaries of it. So stars are, and shout out to Narizi for this concept as well. But stars ultimately are our buffer between the play to earn world and our token world, essentially. And while the two are they're synchronized together, they separate they separate exploitation, and they make the economy healthily balanced. So each star itself has a timestamp, so we know how many stars you can earn a day based off of challenges. We know how many stars. If you earn 10,000 stars in 3 minutes, we know something went wrong. Whereas if you just won and you got 10,000 Arkade, at the rate of doing that, you could essentially deplete the economy in 3.3 years at the mathematic level of that. So stars allow us to create a buffer and to create kind of a cooldown period between swapping and earning, but the two work together, and it keeps everything healthy, it keeps everything balanced, and we feel like every play to earn economy should have this, because off of the past use cases, whenever people are able to tap directly into the economy, nothing good ever comes from that. So that's ultimately what stars are, on like a really quick TLDR, and I'll let Narizi and Kadi kind of dive in a bit more on the tech side and kind of why stars and the concepts of it.
Honestly, man, I think you covered everything as far as like why we're doing stars and a little bit about how it works. But yeah, I mean, on the API side of things, we are limiting how many you can earn in a day, how many you can withdraw in a day, what you can trade. So we're making sure that, yeah, the economy is not depleted and things continue to move smoothly. But yeah, I think you covered everything else, unless there's anything specific that I'm
And
missing.
then no, I think you're good, and I'll let Kadi kind of speak to the economics of it all, since that's kind of his background, was many of his strengths. So go ahead on that, Kadi, with just kind of like the rates and so forth with all of that.
Sorry, I'm sending a tweet right now, so I'm a little. Uh, what are we? We're speaking to the
Wow.
economy of the Star Station. Yeah, I'm totally caught off guard because
That's
I
crazy.
was drafting up a tweet to send out,
I
and I
believe
was
I believe right now it's 5 stars swap to 1 Arkade. Is that correct?
yes. So it's a five
Perfect.
to one swap rate, and so the stars kind of help us. I'm sure Patrick already spoke to this. Uh, Adjust the economy without affecting the end user, and it helps us kind of determine and keep that gauge on the Arkade reserves, so that it isn't depleted. And if you were to play and you were to earn stars, I think we ran the numbers. If you were to earn, I forgot the exact amount, but you could essentially earn up to, like, at the current Arkade price, up to $200 in Arkade on a yearly basis. If you're like a top level gamer, and you are playing the Arkade a couple of hours a day, it was. So we want to reward people, and then we can adjust it as we get community feedback. So it's not set
Yep.
in stone. That's what's the most important aspect of everything is we can adjust the swap rate because it's it's
Yeah.
a fluctuating economy. It's not set in stone. We understand that, things may change. People may earn stars more readily, and as more games are readily available, earning stars may become easier. So it allows us to be very flexible and take in that community feedback and adjust as needed.
Correct. Yep. And everything is like Cody said, it's an asterisk value at the moment, but everything is on a rolling basis. So if we get feedback like, hey man, it's way too difficult for us to earn anything, like these challenges aren't sustainable, like it's, blah blah blah, then we definitely will make changes and kind of adjust the product accordingly over time. But for now, at the starting rate, we're gonna roll it out at 5-1, and we'll listen to the community. We'll get that feedback, and if we feel like it's too low, we'll adjust that. If we feel like it's too high, we'll adjust that. Or if we feel like it's perfect, we'll find ways to incentivize more people to interact daily. And I think that's a perfect mix of delivering a product, but also being open-minded to changes it has to have. And I'm really excited for the Star Station. I feel like it's a huge feature that people don't quite realize how much tech is actually in it, all the interactions that have to happen, all of the small nuances that me and Narizi and Kadi are rubber ducking each day. But ultimately, I think that we're in a really, really good place, and it's an exciting time to not only build on Kadena, but to just build a product in general. It's a builder's market, so if you have an idea, if you have a wireframe, if you have anything, it's the hardest part of starting, and then you can make adjustments over time. So we always encourage people to just kind of chase something that they want to do, and if they feel like it's not a cool idea or it's not sustainable or it's not whatever, I can guarantee you that there's been an idea that you would call stupid that has succeeded. So we're just we're huge advocates of innovation, and we just think that everyone has the right to create, and that's what we love about NFTs and Web3 in general. Is it doesn't matter what your background is. If you have a cool idea, whether it's art based, whether it's tech based, whether it's
It's
whatever,
crazy.
there's a place for that.
There's a good segue into the 90s mint with the Star Station before Patrick went off on that crazy tangent. So I just pinned the tweet. So we have the 90s Bulls tier list. So you can earn more than 5 stars. You can, if you mint in one of 190s Bull, you earn 10x the amount of stars of a user that has a regular base bowl. And then if you mint a superstar base 90s bowl, you earn 5x. And then on top of that, you get early access and everything is free to play across the arcade. So you don't have to worry about inserting an arcade token to play any of the games. So that's how the 90s bowls kind of play into the arcade and the star power aspect, and that's just
And
kind of
that's
gives
the tweet
people.
you're making right now, right?
It's pinned, so just check the
Oh,
pinned
nice.
tweet. Yeah.
Cool, cool.
So it's a way to kind of show people how like the stars are so powerful in that they can be expanded upon and they kind of drive the arcade. They're the driving force of everything in the arcade, and they allow us to get very creative with what we want to do because it's basically Patrick loves to use the analogy of a credit card reward system, right? So this is essentially the gaming version of that, and owning a one of one 90s bowl is like owning a platinum or black American Express card, so that's like the exciting part of everything, and we're super excited to see what people mint. And we're going to release the amount of one of ones that there are later this week. I think today we're going to get a Medium article that kind of just relays all of this information and puts it in a clear and concise manner so people can always reference that before the mint in a few days. So if you guys want to check that tweet, I pinned it to the space. And then if you have any questions, feel free to hit us on Discord or Twitter as well.
Awesome.
Yeah, you guys are just killing it. It's just getting closer and closer. You're 3 days away from that next 90s phase, and I know lots of people are very excited for that. So, is there anything that we didn't touch upon that you guys want to talk about? If there's any other aspects that you guys have been working on, or anything, any other kind of maybe secret alphas or anything you want to share with the community?
End of year Medium article coming soon.
Yeah, so we'll have that article out today, either today or tomorrow. But other than that, nothing comes to mind. Mint for whitelist is in a few days, January 1st. And we've actually had this question as well. To be whitelisted, you have to either own an 80s bull, a loony bull, or be a superstar or OG in our Discord. And there's no limit to how many you can mint in the whitelist sale. So there's no guarantee that there even is a public sale.
Yep. And then updated roadmap coming soon as well in January.
Awesome. I got myself a few 80s bulls, so I'll be making sure to jump in and grab some 90s ones as well. And hopefully I can
Chris, do you
snag
still
myself
have
one of those one of ones.
do you still have that Batman bull with no shirt on in the Arctic?
Yeah, yeah, I have it. And I also have the poster of it as well. Which
The
is
poster. Oh, that is some alpha actually. Every NFT in the marketplace is going to be able to be a poster, very very soon. So I touched on that last call, but
awesome.
we finally ready to push that out to the masses, if you will. But just to touch on that shirtless bat bull, you should have seen the look on their face when I was shipping that out because the box was too big initially. So they're like, they just looked at me, and I was like, don't question my hobbies.
It looks like it does look like an S&M bull. Like it literally looks like a bull that's into some
Wow.
really kinky stuff.
You were saying
You
what we
know.
were all thinking.
It's a self-portrait
Yeah,
of me.
like
Thanks for getting my one of one.
if it went down another inch or two, he would definitely have nipple rings. I can definitely say that. For
Speaking
sure.
of alpha, you just leaked our next collection.
S&M bulls.
Yeah.
Be
In
careful on
this
that
day
one.
in this day and
I will
age,
say,
that would probably be a sellout in like an hour.
oh, really?
Oh, 1,000%.
We're coming out with our only Bulls tab on the site.
Oh,
Like,
man.
that's crazy. All right, time
This
to
AMA has
conclude.
gone off the rails.
Anyway,
turn your Twitch channel into a Bulls hot tub channel.
yeah. So one last thing though is if you guys have seen that create tab, it's only available for our partners right now and anyone that we're collabing with to be able to access our API. Like we're allowing API keys, but touching on that is we do want to focus now that we're wrapping up the games, hopefully by mid to end of quarter one. And like Patrick said, we're going to come out with a roadmap, more of like a quarter map, really. We'll discuss like how we're going to launch the games, but in addition to the games, a big priority for us is going to be focusing on our creators, of course. And there's two aspects of this that we haven't really touched on too much, but obviously there's the aspect that we have touched on of our verified creators, or our verified projects that will be launching with us, that are in line with our guidelines to be able to get approved on our launch pad. But there's a second side that we haven't mentioned too much, but we do want to allow a section for creators to be able to shoot, I don't know if I should share too much, but it'll be something fun for anyone to be able to go in there and create some NFTs. Let's just say that we're going to gamify it in a way that's super exciting. And it's actually something I developed even before Arkade. I never released it, never shared it with anyone. It was a hobby of mine that I was just doing, and I think I've always had it in the back of my mind to include it in Arkade, and I think we found the right avenue to do it. And
Yep,
it's
we
something
have.
for, like I
Okay,
said,
you're done.
any creatives. Yeah, I won't talk
You're
anymore.
done.
But it's it's gonna be pretty exciting. So
This will be a silent update, by the way. So once
yeah.
it's there, you guys will get the chance to see what we're talking about.
Yeah, but we're all about gamifying everything. So look forward to more aspects of the Arkade being gamified.
Well, hey folks, I'm about to hop off, but I want to thank you for a really great AMA. Thanks for inviting me in to say a few words about Koala and get everyone excited about the partnership we're going to have between Arkade and Eucalyptus. And I look forward to what comes in 2023. Happy New Year, everyone.
Likewise. Happy
Thanks,
New Year,
Koby.
Koby. Take care, everyone. Thank you for your time.
Appreciate
Yeah,
it.
everyone. Thank you very much for you guys for joining us today. It was very excellent to catch up. There was quite a bit of really cool news for people, and make sure everyone listening goes and checks out Arkade.Fun. Join their Discord, get involved with the community, get yourself up to that OG Superbull status, or go pick yourselves up some 80s bulls off of the market now before. Have you guys done a snapshot or anything already, or will it just be that Arkade picks up that you own an 80s bull in your wallet and you're good to go?
Yeah, snapshot should be like 24 hours before mint. So
Okay, so people should.
Yeah.
So if people want to get in on that whitelist price by buying themselves an 80s bull, they should get on that in the next day or so.
Yep,
So
we'll
make
we'll
sure you
make an
guys.
announcement for that too.
Okay, perfect. So make sure you guys, like I said, hit up Arkade.Fun, go play the games, get yourself some bulls, get yourself some of the other amazing projects that are listed on there, and get involved with their community because these guys are awesome and they're building some really cool things for the future. So thank you very much, everyone, for joining us. Thank you, Koby, for joining us, the Arkade guys for joining us, and we will definitely be doing this again in the near future, hopefully.
Thank you, Chris. Everyone have a good day.
Thanks. Take care, everyone. That wraps up another amazing AMA. Thank you for listening. Here at KPN, we strive to bring an open platform for projects being built on Kadena to present themselves to the community. Please ensure to do your own research on each project before investing. Also ensure to follow us on all our social media from Twitter to subscribing to our weekly newsletter to ensure to keep up to date on everything KDA related. You can find all the links in the description below. Take care.